Ahoy guys. This video might potentially be shocking. I don't know, we'll see. But if you've known me at all for the past few years, you know that I have been vegan. And if you're like the 0.01% of the population who doesn't know what that means, it means I did not eat animals. Or in my words, actually, I like to say I don't eat things that either moved on their free will or at any point in their lifetime had eyeballs. That usually helps simplify it for people. I don't know. But I have some like breaking news, you guys. And it might have something to do with the fact that I had sushi tonight with imitation crab. That was not imitation fish, right? Like, imitation crab is still fish. But anyways, the point being, I had real sushi. And it was awesome. Which means I don't think I'm vegan anymore. What? What? Crazy. Oh my god. It feels weird saying that. I feel like this is my exit interview from veganism. Like, is there some sort of ceremony I should be doing? Like, should I light a candle? Is there, like, a seance that should be happening right now? Should we be blessing me? Like, I don't know. But I'm, like, leaving the vegan community. Let me just give you guys some background. So, I have never liked eating red meat. Pretty much since day one. I would eat it occasionally, like my parents would cook it for us. I would eat it going out every once in a while, but it was never something that I truly loved eating. Especially like steak. I was never into steak. I would eat burgers occasionally, but they would give me stomach aches. It just didn't sit well with me. I was a huge fan of orange chicken and hot dogs. I guess like the fake type of meat that was still meat, but not like the heavy duty, like red meat kind of thing. So I never was like a huge meat eater. I never would describe myself as a meat eating person. Like, I mostly ate carbs, like pasta and rice and bread, all those yummy foods. But I did eat meat occasionally. So when I went to college and I started eating like dinners in front of people, and the way that our like cafeterias were set up is just like you could choose whatever you want. I mean, I guess that's how all cafeterias are set up. Like, you can eat what you want, but I would like just go for the salad bar. I would have like maybe a pasta dish, but I would never go for the meat. Whatever it was, like chicken or ham or who knows. I would never be eating meat at the cafeteria, or if I was, it was like something small, like the occasional tuna sandwich or something. I don't know. And so people would like see me eating and they would ask me if I was vegetarian. And this happened to me so often to the point where I kind of got sick of people asking me if I was vegetarian, because like I said, I did have like those cravings for orange chicken and like meat junk food. I always loved meat junk food, like chicken nuggets. Oh my god, the chicken nuggets from McDonald's, like with that like barbecue sauce you dip it in. I don't know what they put in that barbecue sauce, but it is not normal barbecue sauce that they have at McDonald's. No barbecue sauce tastes like that barbecue sauce. But anyways, I used to love like the 10-piece chicken nuggets, hot dogs, orange chicken, like I already said. Not so much burgers, to be honest. just like carnival food meat, not anything that you would like cut with a knife and fork. So I got so sick of people asking me at the cafeteria if I was vegetarian that I actually decided, you know what, this is really annoying and everyone seems to have the idea that I'm vegetarian. So in order to, I guess, stifle the constant questioning of like what I'm eating and why I'm eating it and why I'm not eating meat, I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm a vegetarian. So from that moment forward, whenever someone asked me, I would just say yes. And I kind of just rolled with it. I decided that I was going to kind of act the part, if you will, which was not difficult at all. I had zero problems letting go of meat. I will say, though, that food is a drug. Like, it really is. When you are addicted to it, you don't even realize that you're addicted to it. Like, in many cases with things that you get addicted to, it's like, of course, when you start out, you don't think you're addicted. Like, you never go into something thinking that you're addicted to it. It's only until later where you're like, oh my God, I was addicted to that. And I found out that I was addicted to those fast food, junk food, high carb, just like junk meat that wasn't even 100% real meat, but it was still like, you know, animal product mushed into meaty morsels? I don't know. What do you call orange chicken? But just not fresh meat. I would be sitting in class, because I was in school, like a week into my vegetarian diet, or like, actually this was kind of went on for like 2 weeks when I first went vegetarian, and I would just randomly, in the middle of class, I wasn't even hungry, I would just start randomly salivating and dreaming of eating Panda Express, or like envisioning myself eating a hot dog, to the point where like I couldn't even focus. So I definitely had some sort of weird withdrawal when I went vegetarian. Now, of course, I ended up being vegan, so how that kind of fell into place was when I started my first real job. I worked sort of within proximity to a Native Foods, which is a really great vegan restaurant. They make amazing food. I don't think I've ever had anything that I didn't love from Native Foods. It's sort of like Veggie Grill, but like next level. Like Veggie Grill is sort of like, I don't know, like the fast food version of Native Foods, even though Native Foods is still kind of fast food, but it's just like on its own level. And I was like obsessed with everything that I would order from there, and it was like, it just tasted so good, and I felt so great after eating there, that I just thought like, oh my God, how, if I could feel this great after every meal, that would be amazing. So that's when I decided, hey, like, being vegan really can't be that hard, especially if it tastes this good. So I made the small jump from vegetarian to vegan. A lot of people try to jump from like carnivore or just like animal based diets to veganism just straight away. And I think that's where people sort of like fail at their diets, especially when it's like a New Year's resolution. It's like, okay, you went from eating steak on December 31st to now you're vegan on January 1st. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's really realistic. But in my case, it was very easily attainable because I already was vegetarian. So what was I gonna do? Like remove the cheese from something that I ate? Okay, that's no big deal. Cheese is extremely addictive, and actually, cheese is I think the number one reason why so many people cannot go from vegetarian to vegan, because they have this like, not only do they like cheese, but they have this like bond with cheese. It sort of like ties into comfort foods, and then when you think of comfort foods, you think of your upbringing, like dishes that your parents made for you, or dishes that you just loved when you were a kid. And a lot of those kind of meals had cheese in them for a lot of people, especially in the United States. So that is a huge reason why people sort of fail going vegan. It was not an issue for me. I did miss cheese for like maybe a week, and then after that, I didn't even think about it. And I haven't craved cheese ever since. I know people probably are gonna think I'm lying about that, but I promise you guys, if you don't eat cheese for like 2 weeks, it's gonna be like really hard. It will be very hard for that 2 weeks. But once you get past the 2 week hump of that like withdrawal from cheese, it's really weird. Like your body just completely forgets about it, doesn't even crave it anymore. And honestly, like just looking at cheese, um, it doesn't even really strike me as appetizing anymore. So it was very easy for me to go vegan. Now, I think the trouble kind of began when I realized that um, going vegan sort of led me into this vegan community, which, if you're anything like me, like when you think of vegans, especially as someone who's new to veganism or sort of as an outsider, you think we're all kind of like hipsters or like hippies. We sit in a circle and sing kumbaya and hug trees all day. And I don't know, I had this false assumption that joining a vegan community in an effort to make friends would be like this really comfortable, welcoming, fun environment. Oh, oh, was I wrong? Oh my goodness. I really hope that this is not the experience for everyone. So bear with me. This was my experience. I'm not saying this is everyone who's vegan or every community that is vegan. I'm in South Orange County, so who knows? My particular experience may be unique. I joined a vegan community that had like weekly meetups at like different restaurants, and I was super excited about it. I did not have any vegan friends, like zero. And so just being around people with my same diet just seemed so exciting to me, and I was like looking to make friends. I was single at that time. I had never been in a relationship at that time, so I was like, oh my god, I want to like get myself out there, and like it'd be so fun to like meet like other guys that are vegan. Like how cool would that be? Okay. That's kind of where my fantasy and my romanticism of veganism ends. So I sort of leapt into the vegan community um, and joined this meetup group of like a large amount of people. Like this group had like at least like 100 active members. It was really big. And I went to a meetup at a restaurant by myself, which, oh my god, I was so nervous to go by myself, but I like had literally no one to go with. So I was like, oh my god, I hope I'm not the only person there that's alone. That would be so awkward. And so I got there. I was the youngest person by at least 10 years, and that's not super important. But like people were there with their husbands and wives, or they were like retired, not necessarily like early 20s, sort of still figuring their life out, which was me. Actually, still is me, let's be real. So I was sort of thrown off, but that wasn't the reason that sort of put a weird taste in my mouth. Like, that's fine. Like, for me, age is just a number. Like, I could care less about age, like my age or other people's age. Like, I see people for their spirits and for their personality. But they sort of looked at me like, who is this, like, naive youngin, sort of like joining the scene? Like, what is he doing? Like, is he here because he thinks that like veganism is a fad, or like what? Like, I was sort of getting like sized up, I guess, as I joined this group. And the conversations that proceeded at that table, I mean, I really, part of them I blacked out of my memory just because they were so mind-numbingly superficial. They weren't great. I tried to like relate with other people, like, oh, what do you guys buy at the grocery store? And it was sort of like this competition, like who buys the most expensive vegan ingredients, like who buys the most expensive vegan cheese. It's like, okay, like the vegan cheese I get at the store is like the vegan version of Kraft Singles. It's not like the $25 an ounce like gourmet vegan cheese, but that's the type of thing they wanted to talk about, which is fine. But I really didn't have any leeway in that conversation, and I wasn't really invited in the conversation, to be honest. So that was awkward. But not only that, but like they sort of spoke of non-vegans as some sort of like primitive, less than, sort of less privileged type of existence. And that totally did not resonate with me, let me tell you, because I don't know, like, I did not join veganism to look down on anyone or judge anyone or tell other people what to do with their diets. Like, I've never tried to convince someone to go vegan. Like, the people in my life that have gone vegan as a byproduct of my veganism has been mostly their own free will. And I'm sure there's people out there that are like, yeah, right. But I'm honestly telling you, I can't think of something lower vibe than trying to convince someone to go vegan. That's just a very low vibration thing to do. And I'm like all about vibrations, but that's like a topic for another video. So I would never do that, but these people were sort of looking at the meat eaters as like almost like another species. It was very weird. And I sort of tried to look over it, but it was hard to at the same time, especially when they started judging different like food ingredients. And the funny part is, like, sometimes with communities like vegans, you kind of want them to be that hippie type of culture. You want them to be welcoming. You want to have the idea that we're all, you know, doing hula hoops in the grass in San Francisco or something. But the funny part is, even in those theoretically welcoming and friendly communities, there's a lot of divide within, a lot. I was like scared to death what to say to these people, because I knew that what I bought at the grocery store would not meet their standards. Especially, like, I'm gonna bring up the example of cheese again. Like, I was scared to death to even join the cheese conversation, because it's like, I buy the cheap vegan cheese, but that's obviously not good enough for these people. Like, I remember them saying, like, oh, yeah, he buys Daya, or like, laughing about it, or sort of, like, scowling about it. Like, heaven forbid someone ever buys like, a Daya product. And if you don't know what Daya is, it's, like, that fake cheese that's in all the grocery stores, like Ralph's and stuff. You don't have to go to Whole Foods to get it. So there is divide within the vegan community, but I was able to look past that, and I left that group, but I still considered myself vegan. However, it kind of progressed into other things in my life. And I realized that veganism isn't just a diet, it's also a lifestyle. And there's people that when they hear vegan, they think that you're committed to the vegan lifestyle, meaning your entire life, the way that you live your entire life, does not involve the use or like taking advantage of animals. And it's like, okay, like the car that I currently own has leather seats. Like, I don't have the means to buy another car at the moment. Does that not make me vegan anymore? Or like my belt happened to be leather, but it was like a belt I had owned for years that was a really nice belt, but like, did that belt not make me vegan? So it sort of became this like more complicated thing, and I felt like I had to hide certain parts of my life that weren't vegan. And I'm on like prescription drugs. There are so many prescription drugs that are not vegan. Like, there's a lot of prescription drugs that are the opposite of vegan. I mean, some of them might accidentally be vegan, but for the most part, there's a lot of ingredients that go into them. Like, I took like an, not ibuprofen, but acetaminophen over the counter, and it was like it was created with a milk product that helped bind the tablet. But there's just all these different nuances that come up when you say that you're vegan, and especially when you say that you're vegan to another vegan. It's like all of a sudden you're under this microscope of how vegan are you. I felt like I was always having to prove how vegan I was to other vegans, if that makes sense. And I felt like I was never vegan enough. And so I'm not gonna lie, I do have a friend currently who's super awesome, but like we eat out all the time, and he's not vegan. But I am, however, like, we tried to get me, like, I guess more comfortable with the idea of like having fish, or like trying regular sushi like I had tonight. And it's just allowing me to come to the realization that if you feel like you want to change something about yourself that has been the same for so long, I mean, who's stopping you? It's like one thing, like, what, I want to stay vegan because I've been vegan for 7 years. Is that really a valid reason for me to stay vegan? And not only that, but I mean, don't get me wrong, my diet is still like 90% vegan to this day, and I don't really have plans on changing that because, truth be told, I actually ate real cheese like a few weeks ago, and it made me sick. So I think I might actually have some sort of lactose intolerance that I've sort of always slightly known about my entire life. But I am still mostly having a vegan diet, and I do still think that being vegan is a great decision to make. I think it's really good for your health. But then there's the flip side of, there's some people who can't be vegan because of their health. And I would never want to invalidate that. And that's also the sort of inner conflict I was having as being a member of like a vegan community, or like associating myself with a vegan society, because I just don't agree with invalidating other people's experiences who maybe in their particular situation being vegan is not the best thing for them. And I not only can't I, but I don't want to try to sway them away from going back to eating animal foods. And I can't for the life of me figure out how to live my life without animal products. And animal products are not just things you eat, but they're things in your life. And some of it, I mean, you don't like, okay, there's something leather in your life, like a leather car seat. Sure, like when you buy your next car, you can make sure that it doesn't have leather in it. But for the time being, like, really, like, should you feel guilty? Like, you're not happy about the fact that the animal died, but the leather is there, and you know that moving forward, it's probably going to be a good idea to not have it, but you still have it. And it's just that pressure in your head, like, I am not vegan enough to call myself vegan. And not only that, but it's just like, I think there's a time and place for everything, and I did really enjoy my time as a strict vegan. It taught me a lot of discipline. I think it really did do wonders for my health. I mean, my blood work is literally perfect. My blood work can't possibly be better. Like, it literally scientifically cannot get better. It's perfect. I don't know how else to describe it. So, vegan diets work for some people, but I think that's sort of a chapter in my life that I am closing, but there's like a bookmark there, if that makes sense. I'm still vegan, but I am not going to turn down a sushi date if that is the occasion. So I hope that makes sense. This was not meant to like bash anyone who's vegan or the vegan community. However, that was my experience. So take from that what you will. I hope your experience was different, or maybe it is different if you are currently vegan. So let me know. And that was my video for today. Oh my God, this was long. Have a good night. Bye.